I want to talk to you guys about that TV show, The Last of Us. Have you guys seen it?
No, never heard of it.
Have you guys ever played the video game?
Negative.
So it's a video game that came out, I think it's like 10 years old. The show is huge right now. It's on episode 3. They've already renewed it for second season. It's got Pedro Pascal in it, I think his name is. And it's really good. 3 episodes in.
What's it about?
Cordyceps, the fungus that takes over insects' bodies and turns them into zombies, mutates to infect humans. Society collapses. Fungus.
It's this thing that looks like a mushroom or whatever?
Make people look like mushrooms. They have fungus in their head.
Cordyceps, a type of mushroom. According to Paul Stamets, the world-leading mycologist, cordyceps do not eat humans.
Right.
I believe.
Well, that's the point of the show. The show is that it mutates and does. And then basically the world collapses. But the reason I want to talk to you about this third episode, it's particularly culturally relevant as it pertains to medical assistance in death, in dying, or whatever they call it. And the show is about a post-apocalyptic gay relationship. And so the reason I brought it up is we were just talking about the differences between men and women in college, and it got me thinking about this. So I said, like, there's an interesting dynamic that I was talking about earlier, where you've got all these people saying this is one of the best TV shows ever made because it depicts a prepper. The world ends. 3 years later, he's all alone for 3 years. He meets a guy and then becomes gay, I guess, because he wasn't before. And then it depicts, spoiler alerts, I'll try to avoid most heavy spoilers if you haven't seen the show, but it depicts this like story of them living together in the apocalypse. And then in the end, the controversy being generated around it is that his one guy's like sick and they're old and there's no doctors. So he's like, I want you to poison me and I'll die. And then the other guy is like, I won't do it. That's wrong. And he's like, it's my life. It's my choice. And this is how I'm going to go out. And then he's like, okay, fine. And then I already warned you guys, major spoiler alert. Like it's in all over the news. And I'm going to spoil it because, and I've already spoiled part of it, but it's because like the medical assistance and dying thing going on in Canada. The dude then basically crushes up a bunch of pills, puts it in a bottle of wine, and then tricks the guy and poisons himself along with the guy. And then he says it's the most objectively, it's the most romantic thing ever done. And so you have these two guys committing suicide together.
And they're glorifying it?
Glorifying it. And then people are coming out now saying it's like the greatest episode of TV ever made and stuff like that. And I'm like, I got to be honest, it was good.
It's a modern take on Romeo and Juliet.
Well, the one thing I wanted to bring up is the gay relationship elicits no emotion in me at all. It just really doesn't. And then I'm not trying to be a dick to gay people. Like by all means, if you like dudes, do your thing. I got no beef. But what I'm hearing in the media is that it's like it's so romantic. Yeah. These two guys are like they love each other so much that the guy decided if you die, I'm going to die with you, and they both poison themselves. Yeah. And I'm just like
the glorification of suicide. That's scary.
And then calling it romantic, and I'm just like, I wouldn't find it romantic. It's tragic in Romeo and Juliet. It's tragedy. It's not romance. But what we're seeing now is, culturally, medical assistance in dying is they're pushing it. It's more favorable. In Europe, they're doing it. Yeah. In Canada, they're doing it. We had those stories where like the veteran calls and he's like, I need help. And they're like, have you considered dying? And now we get a TV show that it's not like it's a young girl, like a 20-year-old being like, I've decided to die and then dying, or like a suicide, because that's depicted in shows all the time. It's like two guys who are alive and one guy saying, you know what, today's my last day because I've chosen it. And then he's like, let's go for it. And then they call it romantic, and it's all heartwarming. I don't know, man. I just feel like whether it's intentional or not, this is what we're going to start seeing in the future. Yeah. We're already seeing it in Canada. We're already seeing it in Europe. How long until you think it comes to the United States?
10 years.
Suicide booths, like in Futurama.
I mean, assisted suicide is legal in Washington and Oregon already. It's already here.
Go. There it is.
It's not a question. I mean, there's this documentary called How to Die in Oregon, and I've probably referenced it a million times, but this is one of the things that happens. A man is on, state health care, and he has a tumor, and the state won't pay for his treatment. It's too expensive. It's beyond what he's permitted, but they will pay for his assisted suicide.
That's what they're doing in Canada.
Yeah, but this movie came out easily 10 years ago. Wow. I mean, this is something that we already had, and we're just seeing the effects play out all the time. I think what's weird about this show, having never seen it, is like, it goes against what we might say is like the glorification of like the West, right? So like I've been watching the show Yellowstone and like all the other ones, and like there is a fight to survive, right? Like if you're in a post-apocalyptic world, I don't really know, maybe you don't feel like there's anything worth left living for, but like at our core, I think people want stories where it's like, but I pushed through anyways because it was worth it, because ultimately we are like glorious in our victory.
So this was a component of the episode, like basically, and again, spoiler alerts. In the end, the main character goes to the house because they were friends, and then he's like, "Where is he?" And there's a note, and the guy writes this letter saying, "I used to hate everybody and I hated everything, but then I learned that there actually was one person worth saving, and that's what I did. I saved him. I give to you all my equipment. Use it to save those you love." Blah blah blah. And I'm just like, yo, this show, I'm wondering if it's like they're trying, it's wokeness.
Yeah.
That they're having two bearded, burly looking dudes in a relationship. Mm-hmm. And I felt like it just doesn't resonate. I do not feel this man's love. I felt nothing from it. In the previous episode, Joel's significant other, Tess, sacrifices herself. She gets bit to save them and blows herself up. That I felt. And then what I did feel in the end of the episode is when he writes, the guy's like, use my equipments to save Tess or to protect her, but she's already dead. Mm-hmm. And so that was like brutal. Like all of a sudden you're in this post-apocalyptic world. You have nothing, no gas, no cars. He's like, they're showing like a plane crash and it's like, we used to be able to fly, we can't anymore. And then this guy who's a prepper has all of this amazing stuff. And he's like, it's yours now. Use it to protect Tess. And she's already dead.
Yeah.
That was brutal. I feel like this wokeness, I don't know, what is this? Is this like Democrat, predominantly females going, oh, they love each other? And then it's like moderate dudes just being like, yeah, sure, I guess. You know, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I didn't see it, but I think when two actors are doing a love scene, if they actually love each other as people, it reads in the movie like in The Notebook. Ryan Gosling and the girl, I can't remember that girl's name, but it was like it's a gut-wrenching movie. I don't know if you guys have seen it before. I cried when I saw the movie, but they actually fell in love while they were shooting that. If these dudes in The Last of Us don't actually have emotions for each other, but they're just playing the character of a gay lover, it's going to be, you're going to hear about it. The lizard brain's going to be like, you're like the seal in you is going to clap, but no one, it's not real. It's the idea of it that they love. But if there's no love there, then there's no love there. I
mean, I just felt like I was watching this show and you're supposed to be sad that these two people are in love with each other and they're dying. And I'm like, I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't feel it. It doesn't, if it was a woman, I would have understood it.
Yeah. Or what if they were like father and son?
Yes. Yeah. I was talking about this earlier. If it was like a guy and his kid gets bit and he has to kill him, you'd be like, oh man, like so brutal. Or it's the dad who like throws the cat out of the way and gets bit. That was literally the second episode. Tess, who is the woman significant other for Joel, they're fighting these things and then she's like, let's go. And then they go to this place and the zombies find out or something, and then the kid's like, she's infected, and then he's like, show me, and he sees the bite, and he's like, no, and then she's like, get out of here, and she sacrifices herself, and it's brutal to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, if this episode was like a guy, and he meets some like teenage kid, and then over the next 5-6 years, he's teaching the kid how to shoot, and he's teaching the kid how to prep and survive, and then it ended with him like throwing the cat out of the way and then getting bit on the arm and the kid has to shoot him and he's crying, would have been the most brutal episode ever. But two adult, burly, bearded men. I am not trying to be a dick. I don't care if that's your thing. That's your thing. I don't feel like that resonates.
Did you see Brokeback Mountain?
I did not.
I didn't either. Did you guys see that? Was it good? I heard it was phenomenal.
I mean, the one from 2005?
With Jake Gyllenhaal and
I mean,
Heath
I didn't
Ledger.
think it was that great. I thought it was just a cultural message. Right?
I think a guess that I had is that they actually started to have emotional feelings. I'd like to ask Jake if that happened. But he killed himself not that long after. Like, I think he was like doing a lot of drugs, really was like, am I gay? What's wrong with me? And then, it gets, I know an actor in college that did a play of it where he was gay and the other actor was gay and was just loving making out with him on stage. And then my buddy hung himself.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
Many, like 20 years later, but he hung himself. And it's like that, he told me at one point that play still sticks with me in the back of my mind, like as a form of almost like he felt like prostituted into it for the role because it was a great role.
Wow.
Anyway, it's a little off base, but it's not fake. Like when you're doing these scenes, you actually do begin to feel these things, and if these actors were on guard from that, it won't play. You'll know that in the scene, you won't feel it because they're guarded from it. Just the danger of being an actor. One of the dangers of being an actor. God. Love Heath Ledger, what that guy went through.
I don't know, man. The thing about the medically assisted suicide, to go back to that point, is that if we're talking about somebody who's bedridden and has no way to pay their bills, and the doctor's like, you've got 3 weeks left, and they're just like, well, I'm in agony and pain, and the morphine's not cutting it anymore. What do you guys think?
So my question is, do you think that depression eventually will be used as like a acceptable, I guess, justification for doing this, for going through this process?
I think that just happened. If I should pull the story really quickly, but there was a girl in
so if you can prove
Netherlands.
You're depressed, then you can kill yourself.
She was. It's in Europe,
Legally?
and I'll look it up in a second. But
Wow.
there was a girl who
Belgium or
survived
Netherlands?
Belgium. You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Belgium.
She was going on a class trip. She was in an airport, and the airport was in a bombing. And she apparently developed really serious post-traumatic stress syndrome and had all kinds of issues, hospitalized a lot, attempted suicide, and eventually was granted permission to go through assisted suicide
goodness.
because she said her depression was so crippling she could never get over it. And this girl was like, what, 18, 19? I mean, she was young.
She was young.
So
teens, for sure.
what's the limit? Are they going to go?
I'm not saying I agree with that. I just
No,
mean,
I'm
like,
just
it is
saying
happening.
in general. Like, what's the limit? ADHD, is that going to be accepted? I mean,
It's like a weird form of eugenics, I feel like,
Yeah,
right? We're
yeah,
just eliminate them after
essentially,
you can't
right.
hack it, I guess.
acne. I mean, I don't know. Like,
I kind of am. Oh, I don't really care about the assisted suicide stuff. I don't know. Am I crazy? I never have. I'm like, if you want to kill yourself, kill yourself. What? Who cares? Like,
Because
there's so many humans.
Because everybody always regrets it. They don't actually want to do it. That's what we were talking about the other day. Everybody who jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge and survived said the first thing that happened was they regretted doing it.
Yeah.
So you have these people who are feeling fear or panic. They're scared. They're in pain, and they think it's the only way to make it stop, and they regret it. And so the goal is to help them not do that because it's the wrong thing.
Like I knew a
Yeah.
guy, like the guy I was just telling you guys about, he wanted to die, so he killed himself. No one could stop him. But then in another instance, I know a girl that tried to kill herself a couple times, and then she didn't, and now she's got a family. So
and
she's
I
happy.
assure you, your friend was, if he was alive today, he'd be like, I'm sure glad that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I think so. He was like, something
everybody.
horrib's coming, man. He was like, really, it was like 27, no, it was 2019 when he killed himself. It was like 2015. He told me like something bad's happening. He left New York City. He's like, something bad's coming, dude. He was like the best actor I knew too. It was,
But do you feel like because he felt like something bad was happening, he should have been able to kill himself, right? Like if you were in a position to have influence over it, which of course you weren't, it's a horrible thing to ask, but like with assisted suicide, or what they often refer to as euthanasia, right? Like euthanasia, you feel like you're putting someone out of their misery. And that's why it starts with these conversations about people who are in very serious organ failure, they have very serious cancers, they will not survive. And so is it a higher quality of life to let them choose when to end?
The problem is, if you open the door to medically assisted suicide, it will expand.
exactly.
Right, exactly.
I'm concerned that some
Exactly.
people, if they want to die and you don't let them, that they will lash out and start ruining other people's lives and making the world a worse place.
But that's on the individual level. I think that the collective consequences of starting this whole like medically assisted suicide trend is much worse and than the individual consequences of one person lashing out in their own community versus starting this global trend.
Right.
It
It also reduces the friction in doing so. It's very difficult to do it. It's not as easy as everyone thinks it is to just go ahead and do it. That's why people get drunk. People do a bunch of drugs before they do it. They don't just if you make it a nice hospital setting with doctors like helping you do it,
And your family surrounding you, holding
Right.
your hand, saying, it's a good thing. That's creepy
Exactly.
AF.
Exactly. It makes it way easier.
Yeah.
Or romantic, right? Like,
Yeah. Exactly.
It sure does seem like they don't want a lot of people.
I'm thinking of cellular apoptosis.
Yeah.
When you got cells in your body, they pre-program themselves to die. Like some cells, when they're no longer needed or they're causing damage to the system because they're taking too many resources, they will kill themselves on purpose to make the body healthier. And I think humans are fractally doing that similar thing.
I mean, there are cultures, right, where that's the expectation for people who are too old or too sick. They're supposed to like
Right.
remove themselves from the society. But
Inuit,
like,
et cetera.
I don't know that is something that I would personally be okay with. It would be really difficult for me to accept that.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.